Hi guys, welcome to the Adaptive Zone podcast. My name's Matthew Boyd. I'm a physiotherapist and running coach. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're so inclined, share it with a friend. Today we're going to be talking with Lana, one of our clients, my personal favorite. Lana, welcome to the Adaptive Zone podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to have a little bit of a chat about your journey with running over the last little while. But before we get into it, could you just give us a little bit of background about your, background in running?
Yeah, sure. Well, I got into running, I've been running for a long time off and on. I was actually a really overweight kid, and it was one of the first exercises I started doing when I started losing weight after I was able to, kind of upgrade from walking. And then over the years, I got into like martial arts, and I always used it as a way to keep my cardio up. It was something I enjoyed and just part of my fitness regimen. And I discovered I really liked it. I would do some local 5 and 10Ks, things like that. I even did a half marathon and a triathlon. And, as I started getting older and some injuries from like combat sports and stuff, I started having some pain, and I kind of thought my running days were over, and it made me feel kind of depressed. And I was pushing through the pain, but I'd like slowed down significantly, and I was just really upset. Yeah, I kept doing it anyway, despite the setbacks I was having. I wasn't sure, if it was still good for me or where I was going to go from there when I saw your ad on Instagram. Here I am.
What were the problems you were having around that time when we first met?
My knees have been hurting a lot, like outside, like the lateral area of my knee. I kind of probably should have gotten it looked at earlier. I avoided, an MRI for a while because I was kind of afraid of what the answers were going to be. I found out, especially on the right knee, some significant. Just my meniscus was basically like chewed bubble gum. The lateral side of the meniscus and some joint wear and tear on both knees. My sports medicine doctor, who I've gone through off and on for years, actually told me he doesn't think I should really run very much anymore. But, I've just gotten involved in doing like this Texas Independence Relay, which is a big deal. Lots of miles put on it. Just trying to, encourage myself to into what I was doing, because it like trail running and stuff I enjoy, just kind of even for just like a mental health thing, right? It was pretty upsetting to hear that. I did get some gel injections, so something to help some cushioning. It was temporary, but it was really painful. I was like putting big knee braces on to run, which helped a little bit, but again, it's all like temporary fix, and I was really afraid I was damaging myself further. With those kind of like quick fix type things.
So what did the pain feel like? Like whereabouts was it and how did it behave?
It was mostly in the outer edge of my knee. Every once in a while I would get like bursitis kind of pain in my hip from it. And it felt like something was stuck in there is really what it felt like. And I lost some knee mobility. Like I used to be able to sit on my heels, lay all the way back, and like move my legs out from under me. I'd lost the ability to sit on my heels. Felt like it was just randomly, maybe about 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago. And I'm also 48 years old. I guess it's just some things that change, but yeah, I really felt like something was stuck in there, and I felt like I couldn't move it because my legs felt really heavy. It's pretty painful. If I didn't run without those knee braces, it was pretty.
How much were you running around that time?
I really cut back. I was probably. When I was training for the Texas Independence Relay, I was trying to run 15 to 20 miles a week. But the first time I decided to do it, I really wasn't able to do that. I was probably only running. There were weeks I probably only ran 5 to 7 miles just because of the pain and having to go to work. Because I'm a police officer, I have to be on my feet. I wear heavy gear, and I was like worried if I ran too much and went to work and I was stiff and sore and achy, like that could be dangerous. Then I have to be able to run for work, which is
you sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. Okay. And then so we had an evaluation call around that time. Like, just talk me through like what you remember from that conversation and what you took away from it and what helped you decide what you wanted to do.
For sure. I saw your ad on Instagram, and I watched some of your clients' reels, things that they had gone through. Some of it sounded very similar to mine. There were times too, like I had like kind of the IT band pain and stuff like that. Listen to a few episodes of your podcast. And I'm like, let's try this out, because you had worked with so many people with very similar stories, and kind of you talking about running more is what builds up that endurance and that resilience in your knees. And that makes sense to me. It's like, I do jujitsu. If I want to get better at jujitsu, I do jujitsu, and it makes my body resilient to grappling, just like lifting weights. It makes my body more resilient to that. And I think running is that one thing that people will say like, oh, don't ever do this again. It's so, they don't know. And I had some friends that were like ultra runners and their knees are fine. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. And then, so when you started working with us, what was that experience like? Like, what were you working on and how was it going?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest eye openers, because I'd always done a lot of strength training too. I've kind of gotten into this habit, like, I was like, I have a pretty good base of like muscle strength and stuff. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I've got 20 minutes. Let me do this HIIT exercise. Let me do these big lifts, like kind of Olympic style. So I'm like, okay, but I was doing that so much. I had gotten away from things like single leg deadlifts, slow movements that keep those muscles nice and stable. And I was doing those I never really did CrossFit, but it was more of that style of workout because I'm like, okay, I've got 10, 15 minutes. Let me get this knocked out. And I really think that really going back to, very specific movements to make specific muscle stronger. Like I was like, okay, this was a big piece of the puzzle I was missing. And then I've been beating myself up about what I considered running too slow, but starting off, in the program, especially like, no, we want you to run like this and build back up to that strength and resilience. And it's really made a difference. It's really made a difference. Well, now I don't really have any pain at my knees. Like I'll get stiff and achy a little bit, but it's not that pain I was feeling. And now when I look at my app and go, okay, I've got this 30-minute endurance run, like I don't go, okay, I don't know if I can do it. I can't. The heat's the only thing getting to me now here. But yeah, there's no pain anymore, so I don't have to worry like, man, I'm going to make it halfway through this and my knee's going to like start hurting and I'm going to have to hobble home or something like that. And now sometimes I look down at my watch because I like that final surgeons it'll tap me on my iWatch. And sometimes I'll look down and like the other day I was running like a 9:30 and it's told me to slow down. Because I was doing an, endurance building run. I was like, oh my God, like it didn't even feel like,
You'll have to recalibrate your zone soon. Cool. What do you feel like was the key ingredient of the different things you were doing? What do you feel like really moved the needle for you and allowed you to make progress with the pain?
Focusing on something specific instead of just like, okay, I need to get a workout in. Let me do these random lifts. Okay, I'll do this and this and that. That's good. 2 days later, I'll do this. Because you and I have talked about, I have a pretty limited time. I work in evening shifts. Sometimes I get home 1 or 2 in the morning. I go to sleep, and I get up. I eat my breakfast, and I get in my workout. Sometimes, and a lot of days I go to jujitsu or Muay Thai before I go to work. So I have to be very regimented about my morning. And sometimes I like, okay, well, I did this too much. Well, now I've got such a limited time. So it's actually made me better at scheduling that time for myself to make sure that I'm, getting those lifts and stuff that's specific to strengthening parts of my body that probably got neglected because of the type of other sports that I do. Like you get very strong, like internally, kind of like in this, like kind of closed in. Inner thighs, my shoulders, all of this from grappling and being like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I need to get, balance those muscles. Really thinking about, making sure like what is really like the full body workout. What are things that I really need to do? Like focusing on those single limb exercises. I think people avoid because they're hard. They're humbling. They're very humbling. I hadn't done Bulgarian squats. I couldn't tell you the last time. I remember the first time I had to do them and I was like, oh no, but I'm so glad now. Yeah. I've gotten so much better at them. And I said it was pretty humbling because I'm strong. I can lift a lot of weight, but it's a game changer when you start doing single leg stuff. Oh. That was the biggest game changer for me for going back to that type of strength training. And it's funny, I look back and I did powerlift at one point. And when I was powerlifting, I didn't have any joint pain, which is so weird because you think because I was so focused on that kind of stuff. And
makes it a little easier.
And I was also much younger, which was part of it. Thinking about lifting a little heavier.
Yeah, awesome. So what's next? Now your running's feeling better again. You're not restricted by pain. Like where are you going with your running in the future?
Well, I'd like to get my run times back down and, nothing crazy. If I could do 10-minute miles and maybe even a little under that would be great. 10-minute miles is a goal for sure. No problem. It was so easy before, and I remember beating myself up Like, for example, when I was in the police academy, I was the only female in my class. I thought I was so slow, and I ran like an 11:30 mile and a half. I mean, that's pretty good,
Yeah.
and just embracing kind of the journey of the thing has been great too. I did kind of hit that threshold, even that last 10K you and I talked about. It was pretty tough, but I didn't have pain after it, and I was able to kind of go on with my day as normal afterwards, and that was a huge milestone for me. Yeah. But being able to do this relay race in March again, I'm going to be team captain, it looks like, this year. So this team, being an example for them and being like an asset to the team is definitely a goal. Being able to keep and feel good afterwards. That's a grind. You're away for 30 hours. It is what it is. That's part of the fun of it. And again, signing up and keep doing these trail runs, I really enjoy, and I've kind of gotten friends with the community, and they're a great bunch of people. It's fun to just see them at the races. But again, just continue to do these and go on with my day. I signed up for an 8-mile run in September.
Nice.
Yeah. So, things like that. And the other run, the women's running team I'm part of, they do a bunch of other events. So I'd like to be able to do other things with them. I'm going to get be an asset to the team, and something like, oh yeah, let's get her. Maybe, just have fun with
so
it.
Being able to talk about that and have all those goals to shoot for, like performance goals, like compared to when you think about where you were when you were having the pain and thinking if you were getting advice to maybe stop. Like, how does that feel, that transition?
It makes me feel like my old self again. It really does. It really does. Like, it was pretty depressing to hear. And I'm the kind of person, when somebody tells me I shouldn't do something, I'm going to probably do it more. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I'll show you, when I see people, it makes me feel good that I'll be 50 in a little less than 2 years. And I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s. I'm stronger. I'm overall fitter. And just the discipline I have now, but it makes me feel like my old self, like I can actually go for these goals again. So like, well, okay, I guess I'll go out and get some cardio in and, go to class. And it's even helped with, my martial arts stuff, because my knees were kind of worrying me there too. I didn't really trust myself. I was like, my balance isn't very good anymore. So I feel like I can train better without being like frightened I'm going to injure myself.
Yeah.
Especially with these 25-year-olds that are in class, because it's a lot of what I have to grapple with now. So it feels really good to kind of be in a place where I can work for those goals.
Yeah, exactly.
I love working out.
That's
love
awesome.
these things.
Yeah, you're in an awesome position to make that happen now. And you did all the hard work. You did a great job. I don't think you missed a single workout the whole first 3 months.
I don't think I did. It's funny. Like, I was like, oh man, there's no rest days, but it's actually made me feel better, not completely like taking the Friday runs feel like a rest day, because I don't.
Yeah, and as long as it's working for you, as long as you're bouncing back, and it's it's obviously depending on your baseline fitness level was really good. It was like the running tolerance that was the problem. So you had the capacity to kind of bounce back within 24 hours, and it's like, well, why don't we use that then?
Yeah, it was great. I feel really good. So I really don't wake up with any pain. I was a little stiff Tuesday morning, but it was my first day off work. That's always a little bit, because the gear, I have to put the gear on, and it's just been kind of like, the body kind of
stop there. Lana, thank you for joining us. It was wonderful. Cool.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I can't wait to keep moving on this performance. And we go to the Bahamas in a couple of weeks, but they got a nice
that's what we got to do, even on holiday.
My husband always get up. He said, "Cool, I'll sleep. You go do your thing, and I'll sleep."
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.